Hi everyone, I'm Dara. Thanks for clicking on my video. I'm finally back in my sewing area and I'm going to start a new project. It's going to be a throw size quilt and it's going to be Quilt As You Go. My frame that I bought last summer still isn't ready to be used. After being out of my sewing area for quite a few weeks, I took more time to unpack it back and reorganize it because why? I don't know. I think once you lose momentum, it's hard to get it back. So, I always get more excited about new projects than I do about finishing ones that I have done. So, I thought I'd start a new one. I have this fabric here, and I thought a simple throw quilt might be just what I need to get me going again on my sewing projects. So come along with me while I make this throw quilt. Okay, let's have a look at my fabric. So I've got this handy little 6.5-inch square, which is so great because that's the size I'm going to use. It cuts down on a lot of measuring and makes the cutting go a lot faster for me. So I'm estimating that these 4 fabrics will be enough, but if I need to include a 5th, then I will. So this is a shirt that I got last year at a clothing exchange. This is a very thin quilting cotton that I picked up at the thrift store. And this was also one from a church sale. It's also a bit thin, but it's nice. And this one is like a traditional quilting weight cotton that my daughter picked up at a thrift store where she lives. And, I think those 4 fabrics will go together okay. I think these 2 do really well together. And I think, a simple quilt made of squares might be kind of pretty. So let's get going. I've cut my batting into 6-inch squares for my Quilt As You Go quilt. And I have pieced some of it. This was my whole bag of scrap batting. I'm going to be mixing cotton and polyester. I'm going to be okay with that. And I'm estimating that I need 120 squares for my throw quilt, and I only have 90 here. Okay, so I went back to my bin and I still have some smaller pieces. So I'm going to see what I can scrounge out of these and do some piecing. Okay, here's my gray flannel to make my backing for all my squares. It was a twin sheet. There's been some cut off the bottom. I use this gray flannel for my plaid quilt. Now when I do my multiplication, I should have enough in this flannel to do my 120 backing squares, but math has failed me before. So I'm going to spend the time now to undo all these seams before I start cutting my squares. Okay, so my first cutting job was my shirt because that was my most awkward, and I got 27 and a substantial amount of decent sized scraps that just weren't quite big enough. So my original plan was to do a very simple design of alternating colors to get these diagonal lines, to use my 120 squares of batting and 30 of each color. So I started thinking, okay, well, I can just, piece these 3 of them and it'll be fine, which it would be. But then I thought maybe I'd like a different design. So I've invested some time to play with this I think it's called Around the World. And I can get a similar size quilt with 9 by 11 instead of 10 by 12. It'll be a bit smaller, and then I'll need fewer squares. So I would get I wouldn't have to piece anything. So I'm gonna try that design, and I'm gonna continue to cut. I'm gonna piece my batting squares together because I'll have 21 batting squares left. I'll piece them together to get like a border, top and bottom border, and that'll give me a little more length on my throw quilt. So that's my plan, and I'm really excited to get started, but there's quite a bit of cutting to be done first, so here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna quilt 1 square first and mark it and quilt it to make sure I like it. So I've ironed my backing square into 4s to get my center. And right now I'm gonna, for this first try, I'm going to quilt from the back to see how that goes. Okay, I've got my design transferred, and there's a bit of a knack to that, but I think I'll get the hang of it eventually. I'm going to use my pearl cotton for this quilt, and this is what I have to work with. These colors, I've thrifted these a while ago. Surprisingly, this stuff goes pretty far. So the first sample square that I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick the colors by square. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay, so that's how we're going so far. And that's on the reverse. Can't really see it on the reverse, but I'm going to keep going and I'll show when I'm done. Okay, this is how the first one turned out. And there's the other side. It's not that visible on the other side, but that might be a good thing. So one thing I've learned from my first attempt is after I trace the stencil, I need to join up my dash marks with my pen because it was a little, I think it'll just make it easier for the next one. So I'm gonna put my iron on and see if these pink marks go away. And they did. Look at that. That's like a miracle. So one block done, 98 to go. Yay. Okay, I think I've done a yellow one and a blue one, and this is the gray side, and this is the blue side. And I think I'm enjoying the more subtle look of the blue on the blue than the yellow on the blue, because my quilting isn't perfect and my positioning isn't going to be exactly the same on every square. So I'm going to do a few more blue ones just to make sure. But Okay, I'm done all my flowers on my blue blocks, and I think they turned out really nice. But I think I'm going to switch to lines for my other print blocks because I don't think you can see that. I don't think it's worth the effort to do it. And I also think the back is going to be too busy if every block has this floral design on it. And the last thing I wanted to mention is these disappearing ink pens are like super fantastic for marking, but for this number of blocks, 26 of them, I went through 4 of these inserts to mark 26 blocks. So, you know, I'm charging through my supply quite quickly. So I'm going to switch to chalk for marking my straight lines. Okay, so this is how I'm going to be quilting my blocks that have the print fabric. And I'm just doing a rows this way, and I'm tying each row off as I go, rather than carry the pearl cotton down, because I just feel like it'll be more secure that way and possibly less likely to bunch. I'm also leaving an opening at each side here because I'm contemplating trying a different way to join these blocks with Quilt As You Go, so stay tuned for that. So that goes along pretty quickly, and I think that quilting will be fine. I'm all done my aqua and yellow floral print, and I'm all done my solid blue, and I have these 2 colors to go. I have 25 of these and 24 of these to go. So I'm just a little bit more than halfway through. The straight line quilting is going nice and quickly on the print squares, and I'm glad I made that decision. Done. I've been at it for a couple of days, and now my last color. Yay! I'm all finished quilting my squares, and I have my schematic printed out, but I'm going to go upstairs and lay them out on my bed to make sure that I like what I did there.